Disclaimer: this video is created for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on publicly available reports, credible news sources, and historical records. The content does not represent the official views or positions of any government, organization, or individual mentioned. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, some details may change over time as new information emerges. This documentary does not promote violence, political agendas, or religious bias. Its goal is to inform viewers about historical and current global security events in a neutral and factual manner. Viewer discretion is advised. The tapestry of U.S. military involvement in Africa is woven with threads of humanitarian support, strategic partnerships, and counter-terrorism efforts. The United States Africa Command, AFRICOM, plays a pivotal role in this outreach across 53 nations, showcasing a complex relationship that balances aid and security, enabling regional stability while addressing threats from extremist groups. Through various initiatives, the U.S. aims to foster cooperation with African nations, with military operations that include intelligence sharing and humanitarian missions complementing traditional defense strategies. A notable aspect of U.S. engagement in Africa is the establishment of military facilities, around 29 in total, serving as hubs for operations spanning from the Horn of Africa to West Africa. Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti stands out as a critical base for counter-terror operations, acting as a launchpad for missions aimed at dismantling terrorist threats. These establishments facilitate intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities that support both U.S. interests and the safety of African nations, fostering a sense of regional security amidst escalating challenges. Further illustrating the U.S. commitment to Africa, various humanitarian initiatives have been implemented to aid affected populations during crises. In response to the 1998 embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania, swift disaster relief efforts were initiated, underscoring the importance of rapid assistance. Similarly, during the Ebola outbreak of 2014-15, the U.S. provided logistical and medical support to Liberia and Senegal, exemplifying a proactive approach in addressing health emergencies. These interventions reveal a tendency toward building resilience rather than engaging in overt military actions, marking a distinct approach in contrast to historical invasions. As we focus on Nigeria today, a country facing multifaceted threats, the implications of U.S. military involvement become particularly pronounced. Recent statements from U.S. officials hint at potential military actions in response to rising insurgencies and humanitarian crises exacerbated by violence. The strategic landscape continues to evolve as Nigeria grapples with issues stemming from Boko Haram to regional unrest, calling for a nuanced approach that combines diplomatic dialogue with necessary military support. The question remains, how will U.S. engagement shape Nigeria's future in the face of these challenges? In the complex landscape of African geopolitics, U.S. involvement has taken various forms, often shaped by the unique challenges that each country faces. Somalia serves as a prime example of this strategic relationship, where the U.S. has engaged in airstrikes targeting the militant group Al-Shabaab. The rationale behind these operational maneuvers is simple yet crucial: to thwart the emergence of Somalia as a sanctuary for global terrorist organizations while curtailing the threat posed by attacks from the Horn of Africa. Despite these efforts, the situation on the ground remains fraught with instability, prompting critics to highlight that, regardless of U.S. involvement, the risk of terrorism persists unabated. As we extend our focus to Senegal and the broader West African region, a different approach becomes evident. The U.S. has leveraged large-scale joint military exercises like African Lion, a significant endeavor aimed at capacity building and bolstering local defenses against terrorism, piracy, and trafficking. Specifically, the 2025 edition included collaborative drills with Nigeria, underscoring the emphasis on strengthening military partnerships rather than deploying combat troops. This method reflects a strategic pivot towards empowering regional forces, allowing African nations to take a more proactive role in their own security. Shifting our gaze to Kenya, the U.S. has cultivated a partnership rooted not only in military exercises, but also in humanitarian initiatives. Following the tragic 1998 embassy bombing, the U.S. has rendered disaster relief and engaged in counter-terrorism training alongside the Kenyan Defense Forces. This layered involvement signifies a blend of support that is often subtle yet impactful, reinforcing the notion that U.S. endeavors on the continent are multifaceted and aimed at fostering stability. Yet, what is the broader outcome of these interventions? While there have been notable successes such as enhanced military cooperation and strategic intelligence sharing, significant challenges remain. Many African nations grapple with fragility, and militant groups continue to flourish, particularly in the Sahel region. Furthermore, sovereignty issues arise, leading to hesitance among local populations toward perceived external influence. As such, while U.S. interventions may yield immediate benefits, the path toward long-term stability often eludes conventional solutions, leaving behind a complex landscape of geopolitical maneuvering and mixed outcomes. Nigeria stands as Africa's most populous nation, a vibrant tapestry woven with diverse cultures and histories. However, it also faces a complex web of security challenges that threaten its stability and development. The U.S. has played a significant role in supporting Nigeria through various security collaborations, particularly in the fight against terrorism. As part of the Trans-Sahara Counter-Terrorism Partnership, Nigeria has been a key player in the U.S. efforts to combat extremism across the region. Significant U.S. support includes training in international humanitarian law and counter-terror operations aimed particularly at Boko Haram and the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP. Recently, the U.S. government approved a notable $346 million weapons sale to Nigeria, aimed at fortifying the country's military capabilities against ongoing threats. Such investments highlight the importance of Nigeria in U.S. strategic interests, especially concerning regional security in West Africa. On the ground, however, Nigeria grapples with a multifaceted crisis. While Boko Haram and ISWAP remain pronounced threats in the northeast, the broader scope of violence extends to the central and northwestern regions. Here, armed banditry, conflicts between farmers and herders, and communal violence have emerged as significant catalysts of instability. These crises disproportionately impact both Christian and Muslim communities, challenging the narrative that frames the violence solely in religious terms. The Nigerian government acknowledges these complexities even as it seeks to deploy solutions to address them. As tensions escalate, recent statements from U.S. leadership have stirred controversy. In late October and early November of 2025, remarks suggesting potential military action against Nigeria if measures against violence were deemed insufficient raised alarms. The Nigerian government appeared resolute, asserting its sovereignty while expressing an openness to U.S. assistance in a cooperative manner. Analysts have pointed out the misleading nature of framing the violence as a Christian genocide, emphasizing instead that the conflict is driven by a mix of ethnic, geographical, and resource tensions, affecting victims from all backgrounds. In this delicate balancing act, Nigeria stands at a crossroads, torn between needing foreign aid and cooperation while guarding its sovereignty fiercely. The U.S. has vested interests in a stable Nigeria. However, it must tread carefully, respecting the autonomy of a nation in acute need of support without tempting the specter of military intervention. As the situation unfolds, the world watches closely, aware that the path Nigeria chooses may reshape the narrative of security and cooperation in the region. The current landscape of Nigeria's security situation raises fundamental questions about the implications of foreign military interventions. Given the complex tapestry of religious and ethnic divisions within the country, any external military engagement without Nigerian consent poses the risk of exacerbating existing tensions. The diverse cultural and religious identities that characterize Nigeria can easily become fractured in the face of outside influences, pushing communities into deeper polarization and conflict. Compounding this risk is the potential overshadowing of local governance issues by external threats. If foreign interventions focus solely on immediate security challenges, the foundational problems of local governance, socioeconomic development, and infrastructure can become neglected. As a result, citizens may find themselves trapped in a cycle of insecurity that isn't alleviated by military presence, but rather intensified. Furthermore, should the U.S. reevaluate its strategic posture, Whether through troop withdrawals or reductions in aid, Nigeria could be left vulnerable to a security vacuum, further complicating the nation's stability and resilience. Amid these challenges, Nigeria's leadership faces a crucial task in ensuring that deepened military cooperation with the United States serves the nation's sovereign interests. This alliance should primarily focus on Nigerian security, well-being, and governance structures. The U.S., recognizing Nigeria as not only a security challenge but also a strategic resource partner, speaks to the evolving role Nigeria plays in a broader geopolitical context. The implications stretch beyond Nigeria, reflecting the necessity for African nations to navigate a world filled with multifaceted threats, including terrorism, resource competition, migration, and climate change. Forecasting the next steps for U.S. Nigerian relations, it is reasonable to anticipate an increase in security assistance from the U.S., particularly in training and equipment. However, this support will likely come with stipulations, emphasizing the need for reforms and greater transparency within Nigeria's security forces. The likelihood of direct U.S. combat operations remains low, especially considering the political, legal, and moral complexities involved in such a scenario. Going forward, Nigeria will likely prefer partnerships that bolster its capabilities without hosting large, permanent foreign military forces. For the audience, Nigeria's multifaceted situation illustrates a crucial reality. Modern conflicts cannot be solely addressed through military means. Effective resolution requires an integrated approach, emphasizing governance, development, community resilience, and cooperative frameworks. Engaging in dialogue about these elements can foster deeper understanding and promote sustainable peace within Nigeria and beyond. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe to Cortex Crime for more deep dives into global security stories. Tell us in the comments, do you think foreign military intervention helps or hinders local conflict zones? And would one work in Nigeria? Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed.